Hello, buddy. Welcome back to Red Devils TV. So, the FA Cup finals here. You could as well call it is a derby, but this is the FA Cup Manchester Derby final. And what are the odds of that happening? This has not happened in over 150 years, 152 years to be precise. But history is going to be made on Saturday night for the game. And I'm joined by Nick, who's a good friend of mine, very vocalist on Twitter. So, Nick, just say hiya.
Hi, everyone.
So, anyway, let's just jump right into it. So, Nick, I'll ask you first. With Manchester United, do you think we can actually win this game? Because obviously, Man City, pretty much the best team in Europe at the moment, but United have proven we can beat them as we beat them at Old Trafford 2-1 this season. Do you think we stand a chance on Saturday?
Well, you know what Man City is like, but we put out our strongest 11. Obviously, you said we've already beat them 2-1, so I reckon, personally, I reckon that we have actually got a really good chance, but it's City at the end of the day, so we have to see it on the day, but I reckon 2-3-1 United, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, what a game that would be. I mean, I'm not as optimistic as you are, but I am confident that, actually, I'm not confident at all. I'm praying that United are going to win. I really don't know. Like, when I went into the Newcastle game for the Carabao Cup final, I was like, you know what? I feel like we can win 1 or 2-0 here. But with City, I really don't know how this is going to end. I don't know if we're going to win in 90 minutes, or if we're going to lose in 90 minutes, extra time, penalties, the whole lot. I could not call this. It's like I've gone to a fortune teller, I've had my palms read, everything. And they can't even give me an answer. They're a scam anyway, all them people. But at the end of the day, they can't even give me an answer. But anyway, I'm going to just give my say on this. Do I think we can win? I'm going to say yes, because I'm going to back my team. And realistically, if you're doing it on statistics, it's 1-1. City beat us at the Etihad. We beat them at Old Trafford. So it's on even playing fields at Wembley. United have already been to Wembley this season. Obviously, City have as well, obviously, in the FA Cup. But United have been to Wembley more, let's say, which is, you could say we've had a bit extra advantage. I'm just trying to throw out every excuse out there to try and convince myself to win, to be honest. But anyway, Nick, who do you think is going to be our crucial player in this type of game? Because obviously Anthony is a doubt. He is apparently available to play. He has been getting on the plane to London. But what do you think? Obviously, Anthony is probably won't start. But who would you say? Obviously, we've got Martial out injured now for obviously he's missing the game. So who would you say is going to be our key player for this game?
I want to say Casemiro.
Oh, that's a good shout.
I was going to say if he starts, but I'm sure he would start. If he can hold that defence together, and obviously the defence is pretty decent. So we have like Rashford, Sancho, Weghorst up front, and obviously Casemiro, Bruno, Eriksson. I reckon we got a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you that Casemiro is probably going to be a game changer. If we didn't have Casemiro, no doubt we'd get absolutely destroyed by Man City. We know how relentless they are with the press. They know how ruthless they are. They don't back out of challenges. They're a very physical side. And I feel like that Erik Ten Hag has got a massive plan up his sleeve for City on Saturday, because as we've learned in both games, United had very low possession of the ball. So Erik Ten Hag has definitely learned this, and that's how City have dominated majority of teams. They hold on to the possession of the ball and have at least 70% of the ball each game, and they know how to use it. They're very patient and they're clinical when they need to be. So Ten Hag's already fell foul of this. We lost 6-3 to them, and the first time was playing them, and that was at the beginning of the season. We were in a rough patch. But as the season's gone on, United have got better and better. We went toe-to-toe with City at Old Trafford, ended up winning 2-1. Garnacho changed that game for me. Obviously, I know Rashford and Bruno got the goals, but when Garnacho came off the bench, that's how we got the 2 goals. And Garnacho was absolutely clinical in that game. But who would you say is my key player in this game? I am going to go for Marcus Rashford. And I know, boring, top goal scorer, blah, blah, blah. But with Marcus Rashford, sorry, I didn't realise people were in the chat. Philip, pink waving hand. I don't know what it means. But Ryan Evening said front three has to be Garnacho, Rashford and Sancho. You know what, mate? I kind of agree with you on that sense, but is it too much asking for Garnacho to start this game? Because, again, Garnacho, has been playing really well, and I just don't know. Does he start this game? I'm not too sure. For me, I think I'd rather Weghorst up front because Weghorst did get the assist in the Carabao Cup final. He's already been in a final, and I feel like it's way too much pressure to be on Garnacho. I would definitely bring Garnacho off the bench. But let's see what he said. Ryan also says, come on, United. And he also says that Casemiro will be also dominating in the midfield. I completely agree with him. That was Nick's point. That's why Casemiro for him is going to be his key player. But we'll go on to predicted 11. You know what? Considering everyone's talking about the players, we'll go to the predicted 11. So with the predicted 11, we'll start off with goalkeeper. Obviously, it's going to be David Gea. I don't think he's going to throw in Jack Butland, or that's irrelevant. The right back position. So do you think he'll go more defensive with Aaron Wan-Bissaka, or do you think that he's going to risk it and go for a more attacking fullback like Diogo Dalot, Nick?
I reckon Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, I agree with that because Wan-Bissaka has, with his development of going forward this season, he's been absolutely brilliant. So with Wan-Bissaka, I do think it's the correct choice. Obviously, Diogo Dalot has just signed a new contract till 2028, so he will be at the club for some time now. And that also indicates to me that we're not looking for a new right back at this point now. So Wan-Bissaka and Diogo Dalot seem to be our right backs, unless Wan-Bissaka does get sold, but there's no reports of that happening at the moment. The centre-back pairing, I personally feel like it's going to be Varane and Lindelof. There is talks that Maguire might play because it's supposed to be his last game in the United shirt, but I really don't care. You definitely play Lindelof and Varane. They've been an absolute exceptional partnership recently, and for me, you definitely pick them two. Not Maguire, not Luke Shaw. For me, it's definitely Varane and Lindelof. What do you think?
Agree, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, all right. Left back, what would you say? Would it be Luke Shaw or Malacia? Because Malacia, for me, he played well over the last few games. Luke Shaw did go off an injury. I think it was against the Chelsea. He came off at half time, and he's not played since. So, what would you say? Malacia has got more match sharpness, we could say, recently, or would you say that Luke Shaw, being the true professional he is, do you think that Luke Shaw should start in this game, Nick?
Malacia is really good, but I reckon Luke Shaw, just because he's proved that he can play that role, and then obviously you can always bring Malacia on for, like, if Luke Shaw's getting a bit tired, obviously, like pace. Obviously, Malacia is quick, so you can always bring him on. Like half time or.
Yeah, I agree with you, pal. And obviously, I do feel like Luke Shaw is very calm and collected. Obviously, that side of the pitch will be marking Riyad Mahrez, so obviously a very tricky player to mark, or Phil Foden, whoever Pep Guardiola goes for. Midfield, I think it's going to be Casemiro at CDM, and the midfield too is a tricky one. For me, I'm going to go for Fred and Bruno Fernandes because in the game at Old Trafford, Fred absolutely pocketed Kevin De Bruyne and had probably one of the best games I've ever had in a United shirt. So I would definitely try and do that. I love Eriksen, but I just think he's a defensive liability. If you've been watching me on this channel, you'll know about my thoughts on Eriksen. I think he's brilliant going forward, but defensively and physicality, he doesn't offer us enough, and you can't be starting him in a game like this, in my opinion. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, definitely Casemiro, and I'd say Bruno and Sabitzer or Fred.
Okay. Why Sabitzer?
Just he's a bit more. Obviously, he's good at like holding the ball. He can play in like different roles. He obviously can go forward and whatever. Obviously, Fred's, as you said, Fred's very good and obviously defensive. But yeah,
I agree with you. Obviously, there was rumours that Sabitzer was out for the rest of the season. This was a few weeks ago, but he might be available. I'm not too sure. I did see him at Old Trafford against when we played. What was it? We played Fulham. So obviously that's obviously good news. I don't know if he was on the bench or if he was just in the stand. I can't really remember from seeing it. But yeah, definitely Bruno Fernandes, and whether it's Eriksen, Fred, whoever, I personally would go for Fred, but Erik Ten Hag is the manager, and I'm pretty sure he knows the squad best. And front three for me, what would you? Well, I'll let you go first, Nick. Who would you go for the front three?
As I said earlier, I was thinking Weghorst, Rashford, and Anthony, but obviously I know Rashford always plays better off the left, but I was maybe thinking Anthony right, Rashford up front, Sancho on the left.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
For me, I'd personally go for Weghorst in the middle, Rashford on the left, and Sancho on the right, because since we've seen Rashford, we've seen Sancho return on the right hand side, he has played really, really well.
Yeah.
Let's see what everyone's saying. Caden saying hi, how are you? Ryan saying Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Varane and Lindelof. Simon Davis saying I'm going for 3-1 City. I'm going for, so fuck you. Varane will have a great game. I completely agree with you, that pal. Ryan Maguire is a calamity, and there is no chance he will be starting. I agree in that sense, pal. I don't think that Ten Hag is going to be like, oh, because it's your last game, how about you start in the final? Not a chance. If you remember the Carabao Cup game, he came on with like 5 minutes to go and still lifted the trophy. So he should count himself lucky, in my opinion. But Ryan said, I'm going 2-1 United. That's what I'm going for, pal. I definitely will do score predictions, though, in a minute. But Caden, my predictions: David De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Lindelof, Shaw, Fernandes, Casemiro, Eriksen, Rashid, Weghorst, and Antony. That's a good side. I do agree on that. I do think that Antony does bring a lot to this side, being our only left-footed attacker. But I think that with the injury he's had, he was a massive doubt. I would rather Sancho, but if he does go for Antony, I can see why you've gone for that. And Eriksen ain't got it no more for me. That's your opinion, pal. I don't think he's not got it anymore. I just think defensively, he's never been a defensive-minded player. Ryan Eriksen has really struggled off the ball, so I think he shouldn't be starting in this one. I'm with you, pal. I don't think he's been playing well. And let's see, Sabitzer is out for the season. He isn't available. So there, Ryan's just confirming that for us. So anyway, we'll do score predictions. I am going to go for a 2-1 victory for Man United, but I am going to say in extra time, which I'm going to have probably a cardiac arrest. Nick, if have you seen the Santa Claus movie? You know when he keeps growing his beard back and he keeps going grey.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to be like for that 90 minutes. It's going to be absolute. I'm going to be like age about 10 years. But anyway, I'm going 2-1, but I'm going to say United clinch it in extra time. What are you going for, pal?
I don't know, 2-1, 3-1.
To United or City?
To United, yeah. United.
Good.
I'm confident, but I don't know if it's one of those games where it's going to be like I don't know, City won't dominate. It'll be like a level all game and we win like 1-0, or I don't think the City are going to thrash it. So I think we could win comfortably, but not destroy them. So 2-3-1. Hopefully.
Yeah. Ryan, just letting you know, pal. Anthony is available. He's been seen getting on the plane. So I obviously there was rumours that he was out for 2 months, but Erik Ten Hag has said that Antony is available for the game, whether he's starting or whether he's coming off the bench. But thank you for your comment, pal. Caden saying Martial is injured. Yeah, we know pal Martial is out. When Ten Hag was giving an amazing speech, it motivated Martial so much that it pulled his hamstring. So with Martial, anything's possible. Caden also said 2-1 to MUFC. And Simon says whoever turns up wins. I mean, yeah, if City turn up with rope behind their hands and to legs, then United are guaranteed to win, aren't they? But yeah, I do see, mentality-wise, I do see what you mean. Ryan saying, "Oh, really? Apologise for that." That's fine, pal. Obviously, it is what it is. And Ryan also saying that speech was wow, goosebumps. And honestly, I'm going to just say something about that speech, because for me, I was screaming in my living room and I was watching the Old Trafford crowd and none of them were actually excited for it. It pissed me off, to be honest, because I'm like, you've got Erik Ten Hag giving an absolute electric speech about how great the season's gone, about how we've got 1 game left against Man City on Saturday, and it was literally like the tumbleweed in the cowboy films. Like it was, Old Trafford was quiet. I really don't understand how. Caden's asking, "What's your predictions, Nick?"
I'm going to say 3-1 United. Yeah, I'm going to be confident.
There you go. Is that your cousin, pal?
No, it's just family, friends, mate.
Right, yeah. No worries. Thinking Ryan saying, "We know who will have the loudest fans. United. I hope so, pal. I mean, City have about 2 people turning up anyway. I mean, you see City fans saying, "Can anyone pay for my ticket?" and stuff. It's quite funny, to be honest. And Sam says, "One-off game, anything can happen." Now, this comment I actually agree with, because this is the beauty of knockout football. It's literally, it's not like the league. It's not like the second leg or anything like that, where if you have an off day at the office, you can then come back in the second leg. This is do or die. This is literally, you have to win at all costs. And United, I feel like, have that mentality. City do as well, but with Pep Guardiola, we're going to get on to Man City in a minute as well, about who's going to be their most dangerous players. I think you all know who it's going to be, but I've got a few other players that are actually equally as good as the robots, as we'll call him. And let's have a look. Caden saying it's a big game. Yes, Nick. Saying, and can you tell Finlay to say sorry to me, Nick?
Yes, I know we had.
And then Simon says, agreed, Dan. There was no passion from the crowd whilst Erik Ten Hag spoke. And I know, and it really infuriated me, to be honest. But again, I'm loud enough to be at Old Trafford by myself, and you can still hear me from row Z. So anyway, we'll get on to Man City now. Obviously, our rivals, our opponents. And obviously, we'll talk about the first player, Erling Haaland. Now, obviously, Erling Haaland, we know exactly how good he is as a footballer. Broke the Premier League's goal-scoring record with 36 goals. He's been an absolute sensation today. But if you watch the game at Old Trafford against Manchester United, Erling Haaland is very easy to keep out the game. And all you have to do is keep him at bay. You put your strongest centre-back on him, a.k.a. Varane or Lindelof. And you make sure a player like Casemiro sticks in his position at all times and cuts out the passing lanes to make sure Haaland doesn't retrieve the ball. Second of all, though, let's just get onto his stats. And Erling Haaland is predicted just 3.9 shots per game. And the shots on target is 96%. So he knows how to find a good shot, and he's making a lot of touches in the penalty area, which is apparently 7 per 90. So he does like to make a lot of touches in the opposition box. And Erling Haaland is just an absolute sensational player, as we know. And then Kevin De Bruyne, obviously, again, another world-class player. We know how good he is. But with him as well, all these stats are green, and it's fucking scary, to be honest. Sorry for my language. I didn't mean to say that. But yeah, Nick, who would you say is actually going to be City's most crucial player? We've done it with Manchester United. You said Casemiro, I said Rashford. Who would you say is going to be City's most crucial player in this game?
Oh, we can only pick him one because I've got a few.
Do whoever you want, mate. Yeah, we'll do three because I've got three, so you do three.
Okay, Haaland, De Bruyne, and I want to say Jack Grealish.
Why Jack Grealish?
Just because he can cause threats, the way he can cut in, it's Jack Grealish.
Yeah. Jack Grealish has had a very good season this season. Obviously, people call him the flop of the season last season. City brought him in for 100 million, and he didn't perform well. And this season, he's doing very well. So I'd say if you had a player like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, this is why I chose Wan-Bissaka, because Jack Grealish, obviously, or Phil Foden, whoever plays, they are very good wingers. Obviously, Grealish is a lot more of an inverted winger and a bit more of a supportive winger, and Foden's more of a creative winger. So they do have different traits, and whoever plays, I do feel like Wan-Bissaka can do a good enough job. Caden saying that City will not win the treble. I hope not, pal. I really hope not, because I do feel like Inter Milan don't have enough to actually beat Man City in the Champions League. I think that's pretty much nailed off for City to win that Champions League. So it is actually down to Manchester United to stop the treble. And Simon saying De Bruyne is probably going to be City's key player. And Caden says Haaland, Foden and De Bruyne. And Simon says Grealish is a pain for defenders. And then Caden also says, like Twenzebe had Mbappe in the pocket. I'm going to guess you mean when you talked about Varane there, pal. But anyway, for me, my three players are going to be obviously Erling Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne. I am going to go for John Stones. Now, for me, John Stones is a player that, for me, has actually been City's best centre-back this season. Obviously, people talk about Ruben Diaz being the best centre-back because obviously he's kind of like the Vidic out of the Rio Ferdinand. But for me, John Stones has been equally as good. He finds himself in midfield a lot and allows City to create a back three. He's dominant in the air. He's very physical. He's good on the ball. I personally feel like that whether he plays in the midfield or as a centre-back, he will cause United issues, and it'll be very tough to break down City's defence. I do think it'll be 1-1 in the 90 minutes, but I do think, like I've said, United do clinch it in extra time. But anyway, we'll do something a bit fun, Nick. We'll do a combined 11. So obviously, it's going from goalkeeper to top. We'll do the 4-3-3. And comments, make sure you say who you say in the comments. But for me, who would you go for goalkeeper, Nick? I'll let you go first. Is it David De Gea or Ederson?
De Gea, obviously. I know he's had moments, but obviously he's won Golden Glove, isn't he? So it's got to be De Gea.
Yeah, you see, I wanted to say De Gea, but I just feel like Ederson is better. Obviously, he pretty much is equally as good as what De Gea is, and he's got all the traits for distribution, coming for crosses. I would go for Edison. Let me know in the comments who you'd go for the goalkeeper. Right back, who would you go for?
I would say I'm on Wan-Bissaka, but I want to say Kyle Walker just because he's another level.
Yeah, I do think that Kyle Walker is very good, but for me, I am going to go for Wan-Bissaka only because I feel like that Walker is so reliant on his pace. He actually does struggle. So for me, I would go for Wan-Bissaka over Walker. Devils United saying, hey, how are you doing? Let me know in the comments down below what would you say for your predicted 11. And let's have a look what Simon says. De Gea is the best shot stopper, but that's it. Exactly. He's almost a grandmaster when it comes to shot stopping, but he has no other traits, and that's the frustrating thing with De Gea. I do think he's an exceptional goalkeeper, but at the end of the day, Edison for me is better. But anyway, we'll move on to centre-backs. Nick, who would you go for your centre-backs? Obviously, you've got the likes of Varane, Lindelof, Stones, Diaz. Who would you go for?
Varane and Stones.
Varane, yeah, that's exactly what I'd go for. Even though Diaz is world-class and Lindelof has stepped up and performed very good, for me, I do feel like the partnership would consist of Varane and Stones. Left-back, would you... who is their left-back, actually? Is it Ake? Is it, or Akanji?
Akanji, I think.
It might be. But for me, I do feel like that Luke Shaw would be the better option.
Well.
Devils United, thank you for the comment. My combined 11, Edison, Walker, Stones, Martinez, Shaw, Casemiro, KDB, Bruno, Rashid, Haaland, Mahrez. I would say yours is pretty much going to be what mine is, but I think you missed some player out actually there. Oh, no, you've not. That's my mistake. Never mind. I was going to say, though, with Martinez, obviously Martinez is unavailable. That's why we haven't put him in this for me. But for me, Martinez would be over Varane. Yeah. Simon also saying, Wan-Bissaka is one for the future. Trust me, start him. I do think so. And Wan-Bissaka is, 24, 25 now? So he is getting into his prime. But he's been voted the best one-on-one defender in the Premier League by rival fans, by United fans. He's absolutely exceptional on that one-on-one tackle. So for me, Wan-Bissaka definitely needs to start. CDM, Nick, who would you
Casemiro.
go for? You go for Casemiro, yeah.
Casemiro,
for me, it's Casemiro as well. I do really rate Rodri, but for me, Casemiro is the better one. Obviously, he's won 5 Champions Leagues, and Rodri hasn't. Casemiro has actually proven how good he actually is. He's got 7 goals and 7 assists this season. Like, I thought he was just going to come in and completely transform our midfield. He's not only just done that, he's brought creativity, he's brought a goal threat. I'd say Casemiro is probably our most threat in the air, almost. Obviously, you've got Weghorst, who's 6'10", whatever you want to call him. He's an absolute giant, but he couldn't hit water out of a boat. He's terrible, Weghorst, but his work ethic is undeniably incredible. Who would you go for midfield, Nick? Well, I'll just read this comment.
I would go for Bruno and I forgot City's midfielder. So Casemiro, Bruno, and Bernardo Silva.
Oh, Bernardo Silva.
Yeah.
Wow, I did not expect that. Devils United saying, that's true. Based off who's available, change Martinez for Lindelof. For me, he's been outstanding. I agree on that. I definitely agree on that. With Lindelof, he has been brilliant. But for me, I do think Varane is just better. I just think that Lindelof is currently in better form, if that makes sense. Devils United also saying, Simon, I agree. Aaron Wan-Bissaka needs to start on Saturday. Absolutely. Glad to know that people are actually getting along in the comments. But for me, my midfield 2 would probably be De Bruyne and Bruno. I do really rate Bernardo Silva, and I think that's a very good shout from you, Nick. But for me, I just feel like that De Bruyne is just De Bruyne and Bruno is just Bruno. I think they're absolutely both exceptional players. And yeah, I feel like you just have to put both of them in the squad. And front line, Nick, I'll let you go first. Who'd your front 3 be?
I go left wing, obviously Rashford. Up front, obviously Haaland the robot. And I want to say right wing, Anthony.
Anthony, you rate Anthony more than Mahrez?
I reckon over a few seasons, Anthony will be a Messi. I reckon you see what he can do on the ball when he kills the ball. Obviously, he doesn't always get them on target. He likes to go for shots, but I can give him like next season, the season after. I reckon he will be not only assisting, but I reckon he'll be putting in a lot of goals from like what Messi can do.
Yeah, I mean that's a massive shout with comparing him to Messi. But if we get our own
given time,
I'm all for it, and I am one for giving Anthony time. I do think that he's a diamond in the rough, and I do feel like that once he works on his game, once he works on his decision making, I do think that diamond will eventually shine. And I do think that with Anthony, he's a very promising player. He's only 22, 23 years old. I do think he's very good. Devils United saying Varane is definitely a better player. I think 9 times out of 10, Lindelof has been flawless this season. I do agree on that. Oh, sorry, faultless. But I do feel like that Lindelof has been very good this season. And my only issue with Lindelof is that his optimism and the think that like. I think that Lindelof is the perfect backup for a centre-back. He's proved that this season. But do you think, Nick, here's a question for you, that he will put in a transfer request because he knows he's been getting first-team football somewhere else in Europe because of how good he's been performing? Do you think that's a fear that you have?
No. I reckon if Maguire goes, obviously you're going to have Varane, Martinez, and obviously if one of them gets injured, pray they don't. Obviously, then Lindelof is already going up to the levels to proven that he can be good. Obviously, be backup, but obviously, I reckon Ten Hag will probably always start Varane, I reckon, but rotate Lindelof and Martinez, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but if Maguire goes, I reckon Lindelof will stay, knowing that if Maguire's not there, then what Maguire would have plus a lot more. So obviously, he's not Maguire, then he would have a lot more starting game time than he does now for next season.
Yeah, he'll have a lot more opportunities. I agree on that sense. Solo, nice to see you in the comments, pal. Massive fan of your work. You have to get you on the channel at some point. And Simon saying Bruno is dynamite, but he's lazy at times, in my opinion. I think you're the only person in the world that has that opinion, Simon. But you know, we allow all opinions on this channel. But anyway, for me, I'd say my front three, because I've not even said mine yet. I would say that it would be Rashford, Mahrez, and Haaland. I do feel like that they are all brilliant. But for me, you know, Haaland's Haaland, Rashford's Rashford, and Mahrez, for me, I just edge over Anthony at the moment. Sancho, we've not mentioned him. Sancho's been a very good player for us in recent times, especially on that right-hand side. So I'm looking forward to seeing how City handle Sancho, because I do feel like Sancho will start. But anyway, if you're all new to the channel as well, thank you, because I've seen some faces in here that I've not seen recently. So if you are new, make sure you subscribe to the channel and leave a like. I really appreciate it. But anyway, Nick, I think that's pretty much us done. We've done score predictions. Pretty much that's about it. So is there anything else you want to add?
Just come on, United.
Just come on, United. That's all we've got to say. So make sure you tune in tomorrow for 7:30. As always, we go live. And we'll talk about whatever topics the most heated, probably transfer news, maybe an update on the sale of the Glazers. I'm not too sure yet. Glazers out. Like Nick's video background. Sorry, that's green and gold till the club is sold. But honestly, everyone, thank you for watching tonight. I mean, I've noticed so many new people tonight. So everyone, thank you for watching. I really appreciate all your support. Thank you for watching, and glory, Man United. And hopefully we win on Saturday.